Hi, it's Mrs. Stone with Advancing Science at Gettysburg College, and today we are going to talk about clouds. Now, in your journal, you should have a page that looks like this so that you can record your cloud observations. You'll want to find a place outside that you're away from buildings and trees where you can look up at the sky. Make sure that you bring your journal and something to write with. When you get outside, you'll want to raise your arms up in the air to make a V shape. The tops of your hands should be even with the tops of your head. Then the space in between your hands will be your observation zone. You don't want to observe the clouds that are below your arms. Those are a little bit too far away. But the clouds that are in between your hands, those are just right for observing. Now, it's very important that when you're observing the clouds that you never look directly at the sun. You'll use this journal page to record the date, what the clouds look like, try to name the type of cloud, and then also record what the weather was like. Was it windy? Was it sunny? Was it cloudy? Was it rainy? Now here you can see I'm outside. I'm getting ready to make my observations, and you can see the tops of my hands are even with the top of my head so that I can look at the clouds that are up above me. What I saw that day were some of these little poofy clouds. They sort of look like cotton ball puffs. I also saw some of these thin and wispy clouds. Now I have, you should have a chart that looks like this in your journal, and it tells you pictures of different types of clouds. And we can look at the three basic types of clouds are cumulus clouds. Those are those puffy ones. Often we like to play the animal shape game with these. There are stratus clouds. These look like blankets. And there are cirrus clouds. Those look like little thin wispy things, and they're usually up high in the sky. And then you can see there's several other different kinds of clouds. These are sort of a combination of the three basic types, the cumulus, the stratus, and the cirrus. So when I look back at the clouds that I saw in the sky, I see these puffy clouds. Those are cumulus clouds. I see these thin wispy clouds. Those are cirrus clouds. Now I can also describe how much cloud cover there was on the day that I was looking up. It can go all the way from 0% or no clouds, a nice blue sky, all the way up through overcast, greater than 90%, meaning most of the sky is covered with clouds. Also, when we describe clouds, we can think about if they're low altitude, middle altitude, or high altitude. The altitude describes how high up above the surface of the earth these clouds would be located. Low altitude clouds are between the surface of the earth and 2,000 meters. Between 2,000 meters altitude and 7,000 meters, we find our middle clouds, and our high altitude clouds are located at more than 7,000 meters from the surface of the earth. Now, when you're outside observing clouds, it's really hard to measure these kind of distances. So you can use your fist and your thumb and your little finger as a way to help you measure. If the cloud looks like it's about the size of your fist when you hold your fist out into the air, then that's a low-level cloud or a low-altitude cloud. If the cloud looks about the size of your thumb when you hold your thumb out into the air, then it's a middle-altitude cloud. And if the cloud looks like it's smaller than your finger, your little finger when you hold it in the air, then it's a high altitude cloud. These clouds look to be about the size of my fist. So I would say that these are low-level cumulus clouds. Now I made some observations after I looked up at the clouds, and you can see I recorded the date that I was outside. I did a written and a picture description of the clouds that I saw in the sky. I saw cotton ball clouds, and I saw thin and wispy clouds. And I thought that about 25 to 50% of the sky was covered with clouds, which is what we call scattered cloud cover. Now, I think those cotton ball-like clouds were probably cumulus clouds, and I think the thin and wispy clouds were cirrus. And the weather on the day that I was making my observations was sunny and warm. Now, we don't just want to look at the clouds one day because we know that clouds can look very different from day to day. So this was another day that I went outside and looked at the clouds, and these are stratus clouds. And when I make my observations, again I record the date and I state that the clouds to me looked like a blanket that day, and it was very overcast with more than 90% of the sky covered in clouds. And I think that this is a nimbostratus cloud because the weather was cloudy with light rain off and on pretty much all day. Another day I went out and looked at some clouds, and I saw more than one kind of cloud in the sky this day. I saw some puffy cumulus clouds. You can see the puffy edges to these, but these look a little different from the cumulus clouds that I saw earlier in the week. These cumulus clouds have a very dark bottom to them, so I think it may be going to rain. On that same day, I also saw a second type of cloud in the sky, these sort of blanket-like clouds. So here I have some stratus clouds, and here I have some cumulus clouds, and again those have that dark bottom on them. And as the day went on, you can see those cumulus clouds started to grow. Here's the dark bottom to them, and you can see how tall they're starting to get. So they're starting to stretch from the low altitudes up into the high altitudes. This day is going to rain. So you can see again, I made my observations. Here's my date. Here's my description of the clouds. I said they were puffy with a dark bottom and they were getting taller. There were also blanket-shaped clouds. And I thought it was a broken cloud cover day with between 50 and 90% of the sky covered in clouds. Now I thought those puffy clouds with the dark bottoms were cumulonimbus clouds, a type of cumulus cloud that produces rain. And I thought the blanket-shaped clouds were stratus clouds. The weather on this day was partly cloudy with periods of heavy rain. Now sometimes we have clouds that are sort of a combination between two different kinds of clouds. So if you look at the clouds I saw on this day, you can see they look like these little mini poofs, but they're all sort of getting squished together into a blanket. So these clouds are called stratocumulus clouds. They're sort of a mixture between a stratus or a blanket-like cloud and the little puffy cumulus clouds. So I described those clouds as a puffy blanket, and I thought that there was broken cloud cover with between 50 and 90% of the sky covered. Now the weather on this day was partly sunny. So I encourage you to go outside and make your own cloud observations. Now you can just draw a line after your day one observation and write your next day just down below that. You don't need to start a new page like I did. It's actually great to have them all on one page. If you keep all of your observations together on one page, then you can start to look back after you've made a week's worth of observations and decide if there's a pattern between weather and the types of clouds that you see in the sky. Enjoy your cloud watching, and we'll see you next time.